UK, for the most part, has had two things to sell in the past few years. One has been the North Sea oil, but within the decade, the North Sea oil will decline so much that you will be a net importer of oil, so that's a huge shift. And the City of London, with the financial community in the UK, is now almost totally bankrupt. I don't know of any large bank that's not in serious trouble. The city was the center of a lot of the garbage which was sold. It started coming out of America, but then a lot of it shifted to the city because of American regulations. And so the City of London is a pale shadow of its former self. So you don't have anything to sell anymore. I hate to say it. I love the UK. I was married there. I went to university there. I did a lot of wonderful things there. But I'm afraid I have to face reality.
Cynics might say that you're just trying to drive the pound down because perhaps it might be in your financial interest to do that. After all, your one-time business partner, George Soros, made, what was it, more than $1 billion betting against sterling in the 1990s. Have you bet once again that sterling will fall?
I have no position in sterling. I'm not making a penny off this.
Hang on, though. The British government, the American government, and quite a few other governments, they have a plan, a rescue plan. They're spending billions trying to rescue the banks and cutting interest rates. Doesn't that fill you with confidence?
Are you kidding? I mean, the new government in America is run by people who cause these problems. Timothy Geithner, the new Treasury Secretary, he's been wrong for 15 years in a row. Larry Summers has been wrong for at least 15 years in a row. These people don't know what they're doing. They cause the problems. Gordon Brown sold the UK gold at $250 an ounce. Is this a man who knows what he's doing? I mean, please.
So sterling's not much good, and I take it from what you just said, you don't think much of the dollar's prospects either. What would you buy now as an investor? Gold, maybe?
Well, I bought some Chinese shares. I bought the Japanese yen. I bought commodities, including gold. Yes, I'd be putting my money into real assets because all the things that are going on in the world now are good for real assets. The supply is drying up even more. And throughout history, when governments have printed and created huge amounts of money, it's always led to price increases and inflation. And so the only way to protect yourself throughout history has been to own real assets, whether it's gold or cotton or wheat or zinc, oil, whatever it happens to be.
So you'd recommend people actually invest in things perhaps that they can touch and see and maybe understand rather than things they can't touch or see and probably don't understand?
Absolutely. I mean, the era of paper chasers or paper shufflers, which has been dominant for the past 30 years, has ended. We are now in a period when the next 30 years people are going to be people who produce real things. The farmers are going to inherit the earth again. You know, the miners, the lumberjacks, the oil men, the people who produce real things. All those MBAs made terrible mistakes. They should turn their MBAs in and get farming degrees.
And what's going to happen to the bankers?
What they really should do is learn how to drive tractors, because the era when finance dominate. And by the way, this may sound radical, but it's not. Throughout history, we've had period shifts like this, where, you know, sometimes the financial people have dominated, other times the agriculture people or whoever, whatever, other sectors have dominated, manufacturing at some stages. So we're in a period of shift because the financial people got out of control, made a lot of horrible mistakes, and now going to have to pay for it.
You have in the past said that China is going to be the new centre of the financial world. Do you still believe that after all the predictions of sharply lower economic growth there?
Oh, no, China's going to be affected too. China's going to have problems. China can have a recession just like anybody else. In the 19th century, the United States had 15 depressions with a D, but still became the most successful country in the 20th century. China's going to have horrible setbacks. But in my view, the 21st century is the century of China. The 19th century was the century of the UK. The 20th century was the century of the US. The 21st century will be the century of China.
You mentioned that you bought some Chinese shares. Investors who put their money into China, though, haven't reaped that much of a dividend, have they? Shares, although they quadrupled between, 2004 and 2007, they've since fallen back an awful long way, haven't they? It's not a one-way bet in China, is it?
Well, they collapsed, but you're supposed to buy low and sell high. Stocks in China went down 70%. And they may go down another 70% for all I know. But I have started buying, back in October, November, I started buying Chinese shares again.
Do you think we're entering an era where it's going to be an awful lot tougher to be an investment advisor? The times of massive returns over short periods of time have gone, haven't they?
Oh, absolutely. In the financial community, yes. You're going to see over the next few years much less interest in stocks, in the stock market around the world. You're going to see much less volume. You're going to see fewer people getting involved with stocks. No, again, if you go back to previous times when you've had financial shifts away from shares, the city of London looked like a ghost town. When I was at Oxford in the 60s, well, nobody went to the city of London. It was a wreck. There was nobody down there.
Now, you have two small children, Happy, who's 5 years old now, and baby B, who's a year old. They both have Swiss bank accounts already, and they speak Mandarin. What's all that about?
Oh, I'm convinced that Asia's the way of the future, so I'm rearing both of them to be fluent in Mandarin. These little girls were born in 2003 and 2008. In my view, the 21st century will be the century of Asia, so we have moved to Asia. As far as the Swiss bank account, that's because I've given up on the U.S. dollar and sterling and other things. I don't want them to have American dollar bank accounts because there will probably be exchange controls in the U.S. in their lifetime, lots of other things. And they got to take care of me someday, too. So let's hope they get it right.